I'm just getting better zip, I'm getting better flex and more life out of the surfboard.
Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and today we're with Devon Howard. Devon, thanks for having us. We're at Channel Islands Surfboards, and we're actually in Britt Merrick's shaping room, right?
Yes, we did ask for permission. I just texted him, hey, can we go in your room and do this? And he's like, yeah, of course. He's like, I love Trip.
Well, also he did pinch your space heater, so that gives you privilege to come in here whenever you want.
Yeah, there it is. Want that thing back, Britt.
We are talking Midlengths again.
Yeah.
We had some great conversations about the Channel Islands Mid and the Channel Islands Mid Twin when you were back in Cape Hatteras with Mikey February.
And the M23.
And the M23 and the Big Happy.
And the triplane hull.
And the triplane hull. So let's talk about CI Mid and Mid Twin.
Sure.
But specifically something that kind of came up on your feed, and I think a lot of people saw it and was like, oh, what's going on here? You have been riding the CI Mids in Spine-Tek construction.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think the world wants to know, what does that do for the performance of the Mid and the Mid Twin, and like if it's relatable to the outside world?
Well, it was just sort of a hunch. So this board is the standard board that we've discussed at length. People can reference that video if they want to get more details. But the short story of this board is that it's a high performance mid-length. And the character features of it are the really nice fine foiled Channel Islands rails and the CI bottom. So for people that have maybe come from a shortboard background, they connect with it really quickly. The only adjustment is the rocker's a little bit lower, but that's kind of key to the design. That's why it goes so fast. It's built with, traditionally, we were doing it in PU, and we're doing 6 and 4 ounce on the deck and 6 on the bottom. Now, for some people, that's a little bit on the heavier side, but we wanted a board that was going to be durable. We want, you're going to invest in a mid-length. Let's have this thing around for as long as possible. So you do get a little tiny bit of extra weight with that construction, but I like it because when it's offshore, you guys get a lot of offshores. You don't do the wheelie. When you have a board that's super duper light, there can be a little bit of a liability with a ton of wind, which we'll get into with regard to the Spine-Tek. So if you're a traditionalist and you like that little extra bit of weight, you like a traditional feel, I think the PU is a great way to go and stay with that if you'd like to. Now, for somebody, there's a lot of us that come off of high performance shortboards or much lighter equipment. And I've had some people, the only critique I've heard is like, it's a hair on the heavy side. I don't think it is, but I get where they're coming from because they're coming off of a ultralight shortboard. Might be riding epoxies, things that are like featherweight. Now, again, the only liability with super lightweight is if it's really, really offshore. But we have a technology that CI's had for, years, quite a while. Not quite a decade, but it's getting close to it. It's called Spine-Tek. And what it is, should we throw this up on the table?
Yeah, for sure.
So the Spine-Tek, the look of it is this right here. Now you may be familiar with it, that the spine was typically black for a long time. And what the spine is it's a composite material. And it was a solution for EPS boards. So a EPS foam is the expanded polystyrene. That's the foam that looks kind of like the cheap beer coolers in a way. If you were to break those open, you see all the beads. People have been riding those boards for years. And a lot of times it's what they call a stringered EPS. It looks, from a distance, it looks like the normal PU. It looks just like that. But you pick up and whoa, it's a lot lighter. Now, typically those are really good. A lot of pros, a lot of surfers like the EPS boards in smaller waves. And especially on the East Coast, we get a lot of people that like Spine-Teks. And they like it because it brings a lot of extra life and zing and pep to your surfing. And it has what we call optimized flex. And you're getting a flex through the turns and then a rebound effect. It's like a spring in a way, and you can feel it through the turns.
Like you can load it up and have it spring back at you.
Yeah, and it's nothing crazy. It isn't enough to like really throw you off your board. But if you talk to Brent Power, our team manager, when do the pros grab Spine-Tek? They often grab it when it's small, which is for them, if they're a QS surfer, it's a lot of times small. They're not on the CT surfing the Dream Tour. They use it when it's small and clean. So the reason I say clean is because when it's really windy, super duper offshore or crazy onshore, the one admitted liability of most epoxy boards is that they feel the chatter. They get wind under them, so they lift up a little bit, and it just feels a little chattery. But when it's just sort of that clean summertime surf, clean small winter surf, it's unbeatable. And our boards have won competitions on it. Stab High, we've won air events. I can go on for days on how this is proven in small, clean surf.
Right.
And there's a place for that. If you want to do your best surfing in small, clean surf, there you go. So back to the mid-length conversation. The challenge with a mid-length is it has a really long rail. So I'm almost 6'1".
Right.
I ride 6'11" to 7'1". And in small, clean surf, that's a lot of rail to push through the water. Now, if I'm going straight and I'm just shooting for the channel, who cares, right? It's fine. But, you've surfed with me, the types of lines I want to draw. That in a small waist height and to chest high wave can sometimes be a lot of work to have it fit and not look like I'm really forcing my surfing. So I wanted to try Spine-Tek because I knew in small clean surf that it had a nice life and a zip and a zing to it. And that's exactly what happened. The instincts were correct. I was initially reticent to do it purely off aesthetics. I didn't care for the heaviness of this big black carbon thing because I come from a more traditional craft background.
Right.
We started, because of Dane Reynolds and the Dumpster Diver 2, we started doing this white Spine-Tek. And I was like, man, that is sexy. It just, look at it.
It's a clean look.
It just looks clean. And then when I picked this board, I'm like, whoa, that's a whole different vibe right there. So I took it to Trestles, and first few waves, it was a head high, super glassy day at Trestles. And I was immediately hooked on it. I was like, okay, it's just a different vibe. So out of the gate, I didn't really know what to expect. It had a lot of zip. What I didn't care for it was when it was kind of overhead and it went super onshore. I started to feel those issues that our pro team has talked about. It's way overhead, they're on the North Shore, it's super windy. It didn't dampen the surface tension as well. But when it was clean, I was getting another gear out of it. So it just, look, we don't have all of the luxury to have a lot of different surfboards. We gotta do what we can with the budget we have. If you're in a position to have a board for small, clean surf, Spine-Tek is great, regardless of the design. I'm just stoked that it worked on the CI Mid. I just wasn't sure if it would. And then when it's head high and bigger, or head high and smaller, but it's windy and there's a lot going on with offshore or onshore, I'm going to probably stick with the PU because it dampens it better. Right. But when it's clean and small, I'm just getting better zip, I'm getting better flex and more life out of the surfboard.
What about, do you find that the Spine-Tek is a better choice? So if the conditions are like that, are you riding it in both the mid twin and the standard mid? Yeah, I don't, truth be told, I have not tried this in the 2+1 yet. Okay. More than 50% of the time I'm riding the twin. Okay. And I'm riding the BMT fin, or I'm riding the AMK. Just depends on the how open the waves are. If I need to do tighter, more critical turns, I go with the BMT. If I've got more open face, I use the AMK. I can tell because I know this board so well, I know that this will transfer to the 2+1 without a problem. In fact, I have a theory, which I haven't worked out yet, because you're kind of jumping on this. We haven't really rolled this out. You saw it on Instagram and you wrote me, and you're like, hey, tell me more, and you ordered some for your shop. It's like, hey, this isn't like a thing yet, but here's what I can tell you. If you do this tech in the regular mid, what I would expect to happen is, because you can ride this, it's 2+1, but you could ride it as a single fin.
And as you and I discussed about the triplane hull and single fins in general with mid-lengths, regardless if it's a CI or not, you're going to get a tighter turning radius. So imagine if it's small and it's clean. See if I don't knock this over. If it's small and clean, and I take the side bites out and I put the CI single in it, like an 8-inch or an 8.5, that's a pretty sick combo. Now I haven't tried that yet, but I feel pretty confident with that. You're going to get a tight turning radius, and you're going to get a lot of life out of the board and spring.
And what you were talking about in those other reviews is more of a pivot, like you can pivot and throw it.
Yeah, because if it's waist high, to use the twin or all three fins, you have to engage the rail. You need more room to move the board.
Right.
And that's a lot to ask of a wave this big. You know the waves when it's the East Coast or Japan or Central Coast here, or even in Ventura, when it's small and it's just dumping. The single fin, I've been very consistent on this. I don't think mid-lengths are typically the best idea for really small waves. I think a fish is better. I think a grovel shortboard is better. And I think a log is better. Mid-lengths, rarely will there be a reason to have it. However, I think that the Spine-Tek changes that conversation because it's more on top of the water, it's livelier, and you're loading up and springing more through the turns. I started out as the twin, and that's all I've ridden. I'm very happy with it. We can do another video down the road, but I would feel confident with, if you want to go with the CI mid, you'll get the best of both worlds. You can have the 2+1. If it's clean but not super big, you could ride it in Spine-Tek and it'd be sick. If it's super offshore, just be aware it's really light and it might kind of lift up and flutter.
It's not going to like stay attached as it well.
We just try to be honest with what it can do. But if 50% of the time or more you're riding small, clean waves, and that's kind of your game that you're after, why not give yourself a performance edge? I think that's where the Spine-Tek enters.
It totally makes sense. I mean, especially with like how popular the poly ones are, like the 2+1 and the twin, because all other board categories have that option, and whether it be from CIs or really any other brand, they have some sort of stringerless EPS epoxy construction that does have more bend and more rebound out of the turns, and it allows you to create more energy and create more speed down the line in these tiny waves that don't really have speed. And that's like when the pros go to it on the shortboards. That's when the advanced surfers that are recreational surfers, they have paying jobs. That's when they're going to epoxy boards. And now you're taking it into the CI mid-lengths.
Yeah, and I want to pick up on one quick thing there. This isn't just like a carbon tape. I don't want to pick on anybody, but there are some of the manufacturers out there that offer what appears to be an integrated stringer, but it's just carbon tape. The difference with this is that this is a composite fiberglass material. So instead of the stringer being cut down the middle and glued together from tip to tail, was a very traditional approach that helps keep the rocker in the shape of the board. We've routed out this stringer into the deck, and we've laid it flat on the deck. So you're getting flex off the bottom, you're getting strength and integrity, and a suspension system and a dampening of the chatter. Stringered EPS boards, you feel a lot of surface tension as well. This dampens that a lot more. Now, it doesn't completely eliminate it. That's why I said there's top ends of this thing when it's super windy and it's bigger. It's still going to be a problem.
It's not the right board.
But it is better than a stringered EPS when it gets messy.
Okay.
But the main focus for us is it's an unbeatable approach for small, clean surf. And if you just know that that's what you're getting into, then dimension-wise, order your boards according to that. The only thing I would change on this is 6'11", 21 1/8, 2 13/16. That's stock. I would go smaller. So having learned what I've learned to date from riding it, love the board, but because of the nature of it, I was on top of the water more. It was livelier. I would go down 2 or 3 inches, roughly.
Oh, so basically, if you're buying them off the rack stock, you would just go down one size.
No problem.
Okay.
Knowing that I'm going to use this for probably waist to shoulder high waves. When
Okay.
it's clean.
Yeah.
And then I'll have my PU when it's everything else. You know, usually bigger or super
Right.
weighted.
Right.
Yeah.
So in talking, you know, to the lead up of like shooting this video, we're having a conversation about this, and you said, you know, something along the lines of like, you know, when it's above chest high, you know, people are going to like, you know, the PU, you know, most people are going to like the PU, you know, better. And what caught me, you know, is when it's above chest high, like most people are, I mean, I think most people are surfing actually, you know, you said chest to shoulder, and most people are like, when you have time off and you're surfing, you're wishing that it was chest to shoulder, unless you live in a really good place.
Sure.
And us, you know, like on the East Coast, there's so many days where it's, you know, shin high, knee high, thigh high, waist high, stomach high.
Yeah.
We have like 11 measurements before you even get to chest high.
Right.
And so there seems to be like a good segment of the conditions like where this is really going to fit in and excel.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And like, there's lots of people who ride these boards and have told me they love it in small waves. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I have my own personal feels in how I apply it, but I'm also a longboarder at heart.
Yeah.
So when it's shoulder high and under, I'm jumping on a CI nose rider or a log. But there's a lot of people who don't longboard at all. And they're like, no, this is my everything.
That's my, they'll call it their groveler.
Exactly. Which I'm like always intrigued by that.
Right.
It's like, who am I to tell them that that's not working for them? But what I'm saying is that in my own experience and what I'm doing, I know that this adds another gear and more sensitivity in smaller surf that I know I could stand behind.
Right.
Where certain people, especially people with interested in the type of surfing I'm doing in background, they might align with what I'm saying. Right? You know what? That's a fair critique of the board. That when it's smaller, it's a lot of rail to push through.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you're going straight and cruising, no problem. But if you're really pushing the board through, that's where I think Spine-Tek comes into play. And that's across the board with all Channel Islands designs. And that's when you ask our team manager, like I said earlier, Brent is like, when do our CT Challenger Series and QS guys and girls jump on them? And he's like, small and clean. And he just pointed to all the contests won, stab highs, multiple victories in that. It's just unbeatable. And it's proven. And that's why it's been around for almost a decade. We've yet to top this. And I don't think there's any other options out there that can beat it, as proven by those examples. I'm not here to boast about it, but that's just kind of what, that's what it is.
Yeah. No, we have plenty of very, very happy customers riding Spine-Tek, and like up until now, almost the whole lineup. But now, now that it's moving into the mids, I think it's going to be a good go in there as well.
Another board that we haven't tried it in, but if someone wants to order a custom, I would say the M23 would be another good candidate for it.
Okay. Again, small waves.
Smaller waves.
Small and clean.
And it's for that kind of older guy that was a shortboarder that doesn't want the low rocker of the mid, wants more rocker. Go the M23. All the same info that we just covered applies.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Devon, hey, thank you so much for inviting us in.
Sure.
And showing us a peek at what you've been riding, and then sharing those sensations with the viewers.
Thank you.
Everyone out there, if you have any questions on the Channel Islands mid twin or mid in Spine-Tek instruction and would like to purchase one, either stock or custom, you can always reach us at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.